Let's get right to Joel Klatt, brought to you by our friends at MyBookie.ag.
MyBookie.ag, code next round for that $500 bet back bonus and the great casino right there. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.ag. Klatt is with us each week at this time, courtesy of them on the Alexander Shinara Trial Attorneys Hotline. I know Klatt can feel it. With Alabama back on top of the football world, it just feels right again, Klatt, doesn't it? It feels right now.
I mean, that was an incredible game. I mean, just the entire night I was flipping back and forth. Thankfully, the internet was strong enough on the flight that I had going home. So I was able to flip back and forth between the whiteout Oregon, Penn State, and Alabama, Georgia. Incredible games, and comebacks from the teams that were down and holding on. You know, I mean, it was very good. I will say this. The team that I saw in particular as I rewatched the tape that Alabama put on the field in the first half versus the team that played Florida State is unrecognizable.
Yes.
I don't know if I've seen as big of a difference in everything: effort, execution, actual plan, offensive line play in general. Like, just it. And that's really fun for me to see. I was saying this on my show that I released today. I think my favorite part of college football, is when I know that a team has gone through something really difficult and they come out better on the other side. They don't wilt in the face of criticism or failure or lack of success, but they actually get better through it. And that's clearly happened at Alabama. You see, guys, and I think that you guys will kind of understand where I'm going with this. There's never been an arena in any part of my life that is anywhere close to as difficult as the self-evaluation that happens when you're playing football, and in particular at the college level. When you pour everything in your soul into a purpose, and then every single day you are ripped apart on film. You know, I mean, it's not just like, hey, by the way, we put cover sheets on our TPS reports. No, I mean, that's not how it's communicated, you know? And so you got to have like an incredible amount of humility. You've got to have clear eyes and the ability to see things and evaluate yourself clearly with integrity and character. And then you have to go out and you actually have to turn and change and do things differently. All of those things are against our human nature, and all of those things are really difficult to do. So my favorite thing in college football is to see what has gone on at Alabama, to see what went on at Illinois after a 63-10 loss. You know, like those things are really fun and get me very excited. And kudos to Kalen DeBoer and Ty Simpson and his leadership and everything that happened with the Tide.
Klatt, going back to Florida State, you know, we said this. You could list 10 reasons Alabama lost. Ty Simpson wasn't one of the 10. And no disrespect to Trinidad Chambliss and Diego Pavia. Those guys are playing at an elite level right now. But I think the best quarterback in the SEC right now is Ty Simpson. How do you explain in only 4 starts his command and how comfortable he is and being able to check down to that second, third guy and just – now, he did make one mistake, but it was a dropped interception. But outside of that, this kid just hasn't made any mistakes this year.
Yeah, he's throwing incredibly accurate. So I was going through this as well on the show. And, you know, sometimes there are just fits. You know, not every – we're not meant to date every person out there. Right. It doesn't matter if there's 2 good looking people or 2 not good looking people. It's like outward appearance doesn't make a relationship. Right. Like fit has to make a relationship. You've got to fit, to put it lightly. I guess I'm searching for another word, but that's the word that I'm going to use.
We understand. We got it. It's a bond.
I think that there is also the same thing that happens between a quarterback and a system. And some just work, others don't. Let me give you an example. Drew Aller and Andy Kotelnicki are not working. You know, I think Aller's skill set could succeed at Penn State with either a different system or a system that's more molded to his skill set. But they're trying to make him do something that he's not quite adequate at doing. Whereas Jalen Milroe was not a fit for Kalen DeBoer's system. That doesn't mean the system got worse last year. It just means that the quarterback wasn't a fit. Penix was a great fit. Ty Simpson, great fit. There's something about it, right? That doesn't mean that Simpson is absolutely a better quarterback than Milroe. If you were trying to run a Gus Malzahn style offense, Milroe would be a better option than Ty Simpson. So you see where I'm going with this. And this marriage, if you will, between Simpson and DeBoer and Grubb seems to be really working. And the way that he processes information innately is the way that the offense needs him to process information. The pace at which he plays fits, the accuracy with which he throws the football. All of it is working. And I think that's what allows a player to have the most success possible. And that's what allows a team to have the most success possible. I made this point also, like last year, Ohio State changed their defense, not because the defensive scheme was wrong, but because they found a better scheme to feature the skill set of the players on the field. So they built the defense around Caleb Downs rather than plugging Caleb Downs into a system of plays. And they became better because of it, and Penn State's going to have to do the same thing and evaluate themselves in the same way with Drew Aller. But to your point, the reason Ty Simpson's having so much success is because this is a perfect fit and marriage. The way that he plays, the way that he thinks, the way that these guys coach him, the players around him, it works. And he is right now the best quarterback in the SEC. And if he keeps playing at this level, then they could find themselves in that SEC championship game easily. Because as all these other teams are ticking off losses in the league, that loss Alabama had was not in the league. And so they're sitting in a really good position right now as it relates to the SEC.
Listen, I would never, ever, ever want to be the guy that had to follow high school recruiting. And I don't think, even though they're getting paid well, general managers at the college level. But I'm watching in the SEC, Aguilar, JUCO kid. Diego Pavia, JUCO kid. This Chambliss kid was Division II, and they're three of the best guys in the league right now. You're a guy who had to go beg your coach for contact in practice to get on the field at Colorado. What do you think of these three guys who did not go the traditional route to be SEC quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think that there's something to the competitive character of going through things that are hard and developing through that. You develop as a person, you develop as a player, and you're not scared of hard things. Whereas, and this is a little bit old man yelling at the clouds here, but we treat highly rated quarterbacks from the time they're freshmen and sophomores in high school almost as if they're individual sport athletes. We give them their stars based on what they do in shorts and a t-shirt at camps with one another rather than on the football field with pads. Whereas if you're a Chambliss or Diego Pavia, you have had to fight and scratch and compete your butt off with 10 other guys just to get to the point that you're at. And I give you this emphasis to this because that's what it takes, like a competitive character of a man to get to the point where they're at. So when they walk out onto the field, they're like, let's go. This is what I do. Versus a kid, and I'm saying, listen, this is not a bad thing to be a highly recruited player, but a kid that since he was, let's see, what are you when you're a sophomore? 15? Let's say you're 15 years old. Even if you're on the old side, you're 15, your fall of your sophomore year, and you're being recruited. And you've had the most powerful men in college football, whether it's GMs or head coaches, tell you how great you are and offer you money. And not just money, lots of money. And then you go to these camps and everyone, oh, look at this. And there's all these people that follow recruiting. And you're told how great you are in shorts and a t-shirt. And look how beautiful you play and all this. And do you ever really learn how to be like a competitive warrior? Because, listen, that's what it takes now. When you go out there in the SEC and you're Ty Simpson and you're facing the live bullets against Georgia, or you're Diego Pavia and you're having to lead a roster that's not quite as good against rosters that are better, what do you need? Intestinal fortitude. That's what you need. And I don't need someone to tell me how great I look throwing the football in shorts and the t-shirt. That's stupid. So little rant on the recruiting things right there, but I think it gets to the point that you're trying to ask, and this is built in and baked in over years of these guys, being treated like an individual sport athlete. We got a bunch of tennis players out there playing quarterback.
Joel Klatt is the old man yelling at the clouds right now. College football
I know,
on
I'm
Fox.
sorry.
That's okay. I love
it was a good question, though.
Okay,
right?
Good question, Jim.
Yeah, Mateer, by the way, not a 100 in his class, not even a top 100 guy, and he's one of the best in the country.
Cam
too.
Ward.
Yeah, Cam Ward. All these guys had to work it. I love it.
Wisconsin.
Where did he go? Incarnate Word.
Incarnate Word. Yeah.
Cam Ward was from Incarnate Word.
Wisconsin at Michigan, the Fox Big Noon game this coming weekend. I want to stay in the Big Ten with you. Klatt presented by MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round. To get that $500 bet back bonus. We've got a casino bonus coming for you in the very near future, so stay tuned for that. You guys love that casino there. In real time, it was pretty wild watching two college football guarantees play out. Kirby Smart cannot beat Alabama, and James Franklin cannot beat the top 10. I mean, and Klatt, you were doing the same thing I was doing. You're watching both games. They're playing out in real time, and they're both really difficult to explain. It's hard to explain why Kirby can't beat Alabama. It might be more difficult to explain why Franklin can't beat the top 10, but he cannot do it.
Yeah, I think it's more inexplicable that Kirby's record against Bama, because he's had teams that are better than some of those Bama teams. Whereas like for James, and this is not meant to be an excuse, so don't take it that way, but this was. So if you looked at I don't look at the totality of like the 4-21 against the top 10. I actually look about in the regular season. When you're going week to week, it's the regular season, it's your league. What are you doing in those games? And they're 0 for their last 15 now. They were 0 for 14 going into this weekend. Their last win was 2016. Well, in those previous 14, they were not higher ranked or favored. That's a thing, right? This was the first time that they were both the higher ranked team and the favored team. So in a lot of those cases, they were like the 18th ranked team in the nation going up against number 1 Ohio State. And is it fair to draw a narrative on that type of an outcome and lump it in the same bucket as you're at home in a whiteout against Oregon in a week in which you're the higher ranked team and the favored team? Like, this is a more disappointing loss than some of the ones previous. And it's because of that. It's also a roster that is largely back, and they've pointed to this as we're going to go out there and take a run at a national championship, versus an Oregon team that was totally rebuilt. 4 new starters on the offensive line, 2 freshmen at corner, freshmen in the backfield. First-year starter, at least at Oregon, and Dante Moore after sitting out a year last year. This was a rebuilt Oregon team that goes on the road and beats an experienced team in Penn State that was higher ranked, that was favored in a wideout. That's why it's so disappointing from the Penn State side. And where do they go from here? They have to get better. They have to evaluate themselves more clearly and say, what is going wrong with our offense? And again, I'll go back to my very first answer when we were talking about Ty Simpson. I believe that the marriage between Andy Kotelnicki and Drew Aller is not working. So one of them has to adjust, not change, but adjust. And the adjustment has to be the system around the skill set of the player. You cannot keep running the same system and expect your big, long, strong-armed quarterback to execute this highly quick game, short area RPO offense, which he can't do very well. And then finally, when they throw the football down the field, you're like, well, that looks a lot better. And it's like, yeah, because that's the skill set of the quarterback. So that's what I would say about Penn State.
Okay, Klatt, I understand moral victories from a guy like Jonathan Smith in year 2 at Michigan State, but Lincoln Riley at USC, 13-12 his last 25. You were there. This is getting painful to watch because I believe they're an improved team. They have got skill everywhere. You saw Waymo running the football. Maeva is an elite quarterback. Mekhi Lemon is an absolute stud. But when Illinois gets the ball back, you kind of knew Luke Altmaier was going to take them down and they were going to win the game. And now, Lincoln is sitting at 1-5 on the road in Big Ten matchups, all 5 losses by 1 possession. Saw the exact thing against Michigan, saw it against Minnesota, Maryland, and Washington last year, and it played out in front of my eyes again in Champaign against Illinois. How do they get over this hump? Will they get over the hump?
Well, there's losses that provide a lack of hope, and then there are losses where you're like, okay, like I still see it, and this is one of those for me. I know that they're a better team than what they showed on Saturday. They still have to get better and bigger and more physical on the defensive line. That's clear because Illinois was able to control the offensive line of scrimmage and run the football, which made life very difficult on USC. However, USC had their starting left tackle out. They had their starting center out. They had their best secondary player, Kamari Ramsey, out. This is a better team than what they showed even on Saturday, and they were right there in the end. Plus, they're getting reinforcements. They've got the #1 recruiting class in the country coming in to Southern Cal. This is what we're seeing right now. Even though it is better and it's improved, I think it's the worst USC is going to be over the next 3 years. So that's what I would say. And I know that that's hard for USC fans, and they think that it's never going to get better, and the 1-5 is never going to get better. But there is an old adage that Bobby Bowden used to talk about: you lose big, then you lose small, then you win small, then you win big. And they're in the transition between losing small and winning small in all of these one-score games. So if you really look at the game, they need better defensive line play in the interior. And then I'll just go back to the ending situation. If you're unfamiliar with the ending situation, down 14, USC scores, goes for 2, so that they can have this new age analytics. Like, now we know what we're going to need.
And by
to do
the way,
with our
I
next
agree with
possession.
you. I'm coming around to it. I'm coming around to it.
Yeah, it feels
I'm
weird in
coming
real
around.
time.
It's
Yeah,
like, it's, again, either way, you can kick the extra point. I'm fine with it. You go for 2. Okay, that's fine. They get it. It's like, well, now we're cooking, and now you're down 6, and the next possession can win the game for you. So they get the ball, not a long field. I think it was like at the 40-yard line, something along those lines, maybe the 38. And there's 4 minutes left. And you can do one of two things at that moment. You can go fast, because now it's about possessions. Okay, and yes, you need a touchdown, but it's about possessions. So you either go fast to try to create a situation where you would still have 3 timeouts and you would have the ability to get the ball last. So you go fast to try to get a score so that you can score by the 2-minute timeout, or you've got to take the entire clock so that the last possession isn't on the other side. So before the series, you've got to kind of understand what your intent is with the play calling and the sequencing of what you're doing. They clearly decided, let's go a little slower and try to drain this thing out. It's clear as day to me. Run the football, a little screen on the outside, not taking their timeouts. And in my mind, and I said it on the broadcast, I said they're playing as if this is the last possession. And again, that's fine. That's great. So they get down, and now they're just inside the 20-yard line, and the 2-minute timeout happens, and so there's about 1:49, and Illinois still has all of their timeouts. Remember, if they score and kick the extra point, they're only up 1. So you're giving the ball back when only a field goal beats you. At that moment, guys, you've got to run the football on first down, because you're playing a game in which you're trying to drain the clock, and you can't take a shot at that point. And I know, Lincoln after the game said, well, you got to take a touchdown when a touchdown pops up. And yeah, that's fine. But my point would be, as a play caller, you don't call a concept that has a shot to the end zone in it. You call a run play. They've been running the football fairly well on that drive. So they score right away, if you didn't watch, on that play. So it's first down, just inside of the 2-minute timeout. They score, kick the extra point. Well, now Luke Altmaier walks on the field with 3 timeouts, only needs a field goal in 1:40. And it's like, you lose. You lose. The entire basis, not the entire, the majority basis of analytics is about possessions, getting the ball last. How do you manipulate the game in order to get the ball last, limit possessions, extend possessions, so on and so forth. And to make that critical error as it relates to possessing the football, I thought was why USC ended up losing that game.
You and Lance have talked about this many times, how closer to the NFL model we get now that we have the portal and spreading talent out. I highlight 20 games going into every weekend. 13 of them were one-possession games this weekend. You talked about, from Indiana, Iowa to the one you were just talking about, Oregon, Penn State, Bama, Georgia, Auburn, A&M, all the way down the list. I know that's fun. What is it? Just the portal that's causing this, or are we that close to having Big 12, ACC, SEC, Big 10 teams all looking alike? What makes so many one-possession games on the weekend we just had?
Yeah, talent disparity, or dispersion, I guess I should say. I shouldn't say disparity. When you have talent disparity, you have what we had for 10 years. And maybe the fans in the SEC are like, I liked that a lot better.
Yeah, that was more fun.
Way better than everybody.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like I like the Tommy Fleetwood that never wins in America after the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
I don't like this other Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like, Georgia and Alabama just don't have the depth that they used to have, guys. Right? I mean, that's just kind of is what it is. And everyone can be really good. And so it's not only that the talent is finding opportunity around the country, because now you've got revenue share, and so there's resources everywhere, and guys are going to go, listen, you're going to make more money as a starter at Iowa than you're going to make as a backup at, wherever it is, Georgia or whatever, Ohio State. Indiana, you could say the same thing. But then you also have the element of the transfer portal. So that's NIL, is that there's more opportunity and you're going to disperse to find the opportunity from a financial perspective. But then you have the transfer portal. And then you have the idea of what we talked about earlier, and it's these guys that weren't highly rated recruits but have developed into players that can really help you in college football. And when you go and find those guys, now all of a sudden the Indianas of the world and the Texas Techs of the world are all of a sudden top 10 teams. So it's this convergence of the two, of opportunity for the highly rated players, but also opportunity for the guys that develop themselves into good quality college football players that they can go and help themselves out. I mean, look at some of these guys at Tech and Indiana, Oregon even, and you'll see that it's not always, the 5-star. And college football had been dominated by the 5-star for so long. And I'm not saying that those stars don't matter anymore. It's just there's a lot more opportunity for everybody else in the sport. I like it. I personally like it. I think this is great. Now, my picks suck this year. And guess why? I've lost like 6 games by a hook because they're all close.
Yeah,
they're really good. This is really good stuff. Like I picked A&M to cover the 6.5 over Auburn. They win by 6. Great game. It's a great game. I've got A&M at number 4 in the country. This to me is a real golden age of the sport. As much as we like to lament things or people lament what's going on, this is awesome. And it's starting to really showcase coaching. Like guys that can really coach and scheme and get things done and build a plan that is really good are starting to have a lot of success. I think that's why Cignetti has a lot of success, because he's just a really good football coach. There's so many things that are jumbling around in my head.
Well, and
not even a part of your question, but like, why does Kirby struggle early in games? Yeah. Why is Georgia continually in a 2-possession game? Why does Ohio State look like they're running the easiest and yet they're the fastest, man in the race? It's like, have we seen even 4th gear from Ohio State?
No.
If Bama, if Ty Simpson plays this well, who beats them in the SEC? Who's the best team in the SEC?
Well, and that was going to be Michael. We were just talking about this. Like, we're a month in, and all of a sudden the Big 12 is more predictable than both the ACC and the SEC. I mean, who would have thought that?
The Big 12 might be the most predictable. Like, Texas Tech has separated themselves. Yes. And that was the one that we thought was going to be the biggest mess. And here we are, like, in the SEC. So in my top 10, I've got, let's see, I had Georgia at 10, Bama at 8. I had Ole Miss at 6, Texas at 5. People are all over me about that. I still think Texas's defense is insane. If Arch plays good at all, Lance is probably rolling over right now. But whatever. And then I had A&M at 4. And of those 5, those are my 5 in the top 10. And I'm like, I know I don't even – any one of them could beat any of the other ones in any location on any Saturday.
Can you explain this, though? Garrett Nussmeier's played a ton of football. He's coming up on 20 starts. He's almost got 1,000 attempts. One of those guys you want to pull for because he doesn't take his ball and go home. He stays with the program. and rides out the storm and doesn't transfer and waits his time. And it just hasn't come together. And Brian Kelly's another one of these guys. I think he's an outstanding coach, but it hasn't worked out to the elite level, and he loses another one-possession game.
Brian is an underachiever.
Yeah.
I think that's the unfortunate part. Yeah. He's a good coach, but he has underachieved.
How do you explain Nussmeier, though? Blake Baker's defense, they've done everything they can, and that was a really difficult moment in Oxford with Trinidad Chambliss, and as good as that Ole Miss team is, and I agree, they are really, really good, but this LSU offense isn't making any sense to me with Nussmeier.
So, as a quarterback, I think one of the most difficult things to do is to make up for a lack of balance. There is such a massive difference in throwing the ball when you want to and throwing the ball when you have to. Massive difference. And yet I don't think that a lot of people understand that. And so they'll just look at the numbers and be like, well, why is he playing worse this year? Well, he's playing worse because the positions that he's in and the attempts that he's taking are drastically more difficult. It's like taking a gymnast and saying, hey, you were really good at level 5 difficulty. Now go out there and be the best and the same talent level at a level 8 difficulty. And it's like, well, that's tougher. You're going to stumble, you're going to fall. And everyone's like, why aren't they the same player? Yeah, their inability to control the line of scrimmage, the fact that they're constantly in 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9, those are no-win propositions. And then Nussmeier will make a throw that is maybe a little bit inaccurate, or he's got pressure in his face, and everyone's like, what's wrong with Nuss? And it's like, well, what's wrong with Nuss is that he's downstream from an offensive line that has been terrible. And if you don't win up front, you don't win behind that. I think that we've seen that in a lot of cases. Heck, guys, I think Ty Simpson's an incredible example of that. The offensive line against Florida State for Bama was awful, and Ty Simpson didn't play well, right? And then he comes out, and you're like, well, hold on. This guy is the best quarterback in the SEC. Look how accurate he is. Look at everything that he does. What's the difference? The difference is the line. And so what's wrong with Nuss? It's a problem with their offense. He's a product of 10 guys that are not doing very well around him.
All right, he is Joel Klatt. You will see him along with Gus and the All-American Girl on the Wisconsin-Michigan game, big noon kick on Saturday. He is with us at this time each week to talk college football, and it's always spectacular. Klatt, thank you for the time.
Could you guys give me a one word to help me out?
Okay,
each of you one word, one team. You don't have to explain it. Your favorite in the SEC.
Alabama.
Bama. But it's close with Ole Miss.
Now, look, Alabama's about to play Vandy, so it's Vandy Respect Week for Dunaway, so he's about to say Vandy.
No, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Tennessee.
Whoa.
Whoa. Wow. That was like, wow.
That's Jim. That's, right. That's Jim planting seeds for future the Tennessee Respect Week, which will be in a couple of weeks from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am surprised, though.
Are you ready for mine?
I am surprised, though. Lane Kiffin, I said this. If he wants to be an elite coach replacing 14 starters, let's see what he's able to do with that. I mean, I am blown. And a lot of football to go, but right now, Ole Miss is really, really close, I think.
Who's yours?
A&M.
Oh, Marcel Reed can't throw the football.
Reed is, now, again, the only reason
Lance, ask Notre Dame how he threw the ball.
The only reason you didn't get that cover is because Reed threw a terrible interception that Auburn returned to the 3.
Understandable. I get it. And then they went down to the 2, and that's the only way that they could score.
That's the only way
Auburn
Auburn's
just
scoring.
had to get 15 yards, they couldn't do it.
Hey, Dunaway's got to get us out of here, but I've got to add, like,
no rush. I got all day.
Notre Dame's defense was so freaking bad this year, and then they go to Fayetteville, and it's like they show up, and C.J. Carr was lights out, and Notre Dame.
Arkansas's bad though.
I
know, but Arkansas.
But Notre Dame's going to win out, and so then we're going to be at the end of the year.
Well,
they're going to be 10-2, and what do we do with Notre Dame?
You put them in at 10-2.
Well, we'll see. I think there's going to be a lot of 10-2 teams. You know who's staring down the barrel of 10-2? Penn State. Florida State. Alabama, Georgia, there is going to be a total log jam at 10-2. It's going to be a mess. I'm just telling you right now. Giddy up, boys. This is going to be a 10-2 disaster.
I like it. Just watching it on Saturdays is so much fun when it's this way.
This will make your brain explode. Do the scenario where Alabama has 2 SEC losses but still is in Atlanta with 3 overall losses. But we are led to believe that if you're in the SEC championship game, you're in the playoffs. But there are more 10-2 teams sitting at home in the SEC that wouldn't be in the playoffs. That becomes a mind warp.
That's when you're Kalen DeBoer and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to play this game in the SEC championship.
No, they would need to play that game to be in because they're a 3-loss team.
They would need it. At 9-3, they would be out, but they would need to win that.
Yeah.
That would be actually great for Bama if they would have that lifeline. If they were a 9-3, to have the lifeline of getting to play for the SEC championship, that would be an amazing.
Because there's a building downtown, and I have been told from multiple people in that building, if you are in Atlanta, you are in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's my point. That's what
Jim's saying.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that seems like propaganda.
Don't get Klatt riled up on a Monday.
I'm just telling you, Klatt. You know who controls this thing. All right.
And it ain't us, boys. I can tell you that.
Go read the New York Post right now, and you'll find out that we may not be worried about the playoffs.
Why? What happened?
Massive comet hurtling toward us larger than previously thought. Could be alien technology, scientists believe. Could change everything for us.
Is New York Post, you said?
New York Post.
Well, when's it supposed to hit us? Do we know?
Post gets a little
I haven't read that.
Where's our best oil rigger? Let's send him up. Where's our best oil rigger?
Where's Harry?
There, boys. Let's go.
Hey, if we can get Mark Stoops to coordinate that thing offensively, it'll never hit us. We'll be safe. Yeah.
Hey, Stoops, Freeze,
Stoops,
Napier.
Napier, yeah. Get them in charge.
Roll out a Saban kicker.
Tell you what, get them in a room and tell them to map out the coordinates to the end zone.
So we'll be fine.
Safe as can be.
Yeah. We could put a top 10 label on it and tell James Franklin to go defend it. We'll all be dead.
All right, plenty of college football jokes there. Klatt, thank you. Have a good week, buddy.
You guys are beautiful. We'll see you soon.
Klatt on the Alexander Shannard Trial Attorneys Hotline. He is presented each week by MyBookie.ag. Code next round gets you that $250 or that $500 up to $500 bet back bonus. $500 bet back bonus. You make your first bet up to $500. It doesn't hit right back into your account. Bet down again at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag. Code next round.